Hi, I'm Oliver, aged 24,
And I'm Malford.
and this is the Worlds Adrift Show.
Earlier this week, we asked you guys for your questions about the Island Creator tool, and we sat down with Tom Jackson to ask him those questions.
Let's see how it went.
Right, my first question is very simple. What do you want? What would be beauty?
It's a very philosophical start, Matt. A world peace, that would be quite beautiful, I suppose. If this is in relation to the Island Creator, then it's like, what would I actually like out of it? I think we're already getting it, which is like the fans to really like feel like they're a part of the world and that they'll be influencing the world in some way. And some of the results of what we've seen, some of the creations people have made have really blown us away. And that, I guess, is beauty.
There you go. That would be beauty. So this next question is a little bit about how kind of user-created content is going to fit in with how we're developing the story and the lore. So it's kind of about how we're planning to use user-created Island in lore if we are planning on doing that.
Right, okay, I think I understand. So the lore is still all written by us. We have writers on staff that have written hundreds of pages of backstory and things like that and journal notes, and we do aim to put those in the player-created islands, sort of like sprinkle them across the islands, like, I don't know, like salt on a pizza sort of thing. But we have talked about maybe providing a way in the island generator for them to place little nodes around where they would like a potential for there to be some piece of lore or some kind of story in their island. So if they've created a really nice shrine or a secret cave or something, and at the end they want there to be a possible piece of treasure or a piece of lore or something, they'll be able to put a node, but then it's still going to be up to the game whether we use that node and place a piece of lore or story content there.
The next question is kind of a little bit about Playtest 4 as well. Someone wanted to know whether we'd be able to use, whether there are going to be any user-generated islands in Playtest 4, basically.
Yeah, we already have chosen a few from, I think we originally put it out to about 80 or 90 people before we put it out to the whole public.
Yeah.
And there was about 100 or so islands were created from that, and we've picked a few of those that will be in Alpha 4.
Yeah.
For Playtest 5, we have probably going to be all users and like a bunch of ones that we've made. It's crazy how many have come since we put it out to the public. We've got a lot that we are really impressed with, and will definitely be part of the game going forward.
Yeah. So the next question, I think, the next question is a little bit about how trees are going to work. Basically, there's some players who've used as kind of focus points of islands very large trees and things like that, and people want to know if they're going to be able to maybe protect those, and if where they've placed those trees is exactly where those trees will regrow up.
Yeah. I suppose this goes down to the world being kind of living and breathing, and obviously people can come and cut the trees down, and then they're going to grow somewhere else. And obviously, when you're making an island in the creator, you're placing them in very specific places to make the island feel like well structured and well thought out. Don't know.
Okay.
To be honest with you, we did initially plan that the trees that users would place would be the starting point.
Yeah.
And then obviously, if someone did cut a tree down and it grew somewhere else, then it would happen. But I do understand the sort of integrity of the person's creation, and they would want the trees to always grow in these spots, for example. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Right now,
haven't decided yet.
it is a
basically.
concern, but
Yeah.
we know
Yeah,
that
yeah.
it is a concern, but we're still discussing exactly how we're going to handle this.
Yeah, and it's also quite interesting, I guess, about the scaling of the tree that they mentioned, because at the moment you can just pretty much scale a tree up to whatever size you want,
Sure.
which might make for some quite interesting gameplay in one way or another. But obviously, it's going to give the same amount of wood as a small tree.
Yeah. I mean, if there is something like a tree that is a focal point of an island and it's scaled up, at that point you probably don't want the ability to cut it down, right? It's going to be sort of a piece of the static sort of scenery rather than a resource. I don't know what we're going to do about that either. Maybe we'll have the option to set something as a static.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to shoot some feature requests at you, and you can let me know whether you think that there'll be something we're working on, something that interests you, or you think it's a stupid idea and the person who asked it is dumb.
Okay,
Cool. Okay. If someone wants us to add prompts to rate islands after you visited them.
Yeah, that's a pretty reasonable request, to be honest. Obviously, there's a little rating button, but at the moment it's just at the top. It's just a little thumbs up, thumbs down thing. I guess once you've had a test, you could slam that in their face to make sure they rate it. Yeah, that's a fairly reasonable suggestion.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of people have been asking about water.
Right. Yeah. That's an interesting one. technically, we can do it. We've had experiments with doing water in the creator. It works on a sort of technical level. We're a bit concerned about gameplay and design because water does add this of a level of complexity. It adds a lot of options. Like you might now have to craft a breathing apparatus as a part of your equipment, which is cool. But then there's all sorts of problems like what happens if a ship hits water? Do they float? Do you expect ships to be able to fly underwater? I mean, this is weird.
Yeah.
We don't really know what's going to happen here. Obviously, adding a simple feature like water, visually and in terms of the creator is easy. But then once it actually makes it into the game, it's like, oh, what? There's a whole bunch of stuff we now have to code around or work out. So we want to. It probably won't be in the next update or two of the creator, but if we do think that it's feasible in the main game, then we can flip a switch because the technology for it is in there. Of course, if you make something in the creator and everyone gets really hyped about it, so if there was water in there right now, and then we couldn't put it in the game, we have to remove everyone's water volumes from their islands, they're going to be like, well, what happened to my water? I put like a big lake in here, and it's like, yeah, but it doesn't work in the game, sorry. So we don't really want to put it in yet.
Okay.
See what I mean?
So are people going to be able to use the glider in the island creator at any point in the future?
Okay, yeah, I've heard this a few times. The reason we haven't put it in is because it's not sort of part of your default equipment. So it's something that you don't have to start with in the game. So if you made an island that like required the glider to get around, then it's not a guarantee that someone's going to have it. So it's a bit unfair on like people that maybe they've never come across the glider or even the glider schematic or anything. So it's like for them it's not fair. So we're kind of trying to encourage people to not think they're always going to have it, you know?
So is there any chance that we'd be adding some kind of co-op mechanic to the island creator tool so you could explore with your friends?
I don't think so. You mean multiplayer? Yeah. Nah, I don't think so. I mean, because we are sort of building on this improbable engine, the multiplayer for our game is insanely complicated. There is none of that in the island creator. If we were to suddenly make it use the same multiplayer servers that we use in the game, it's a whole massive can of worms that I don't really want to go into just for what is essentially a tool. It's not meant to be like the game.
Are better smoothing options going to be available in the future?
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, smoothing is a fickle beast, I admit, and we originally had a brush that would smooth, rather than at the moment you can smooth the whole terrain. Which is limiting, I know, because then if you want to go and edit something, it's like, oh, balls, now I got to smooth. I just want to smooth that bit, and you can't. Yeah, we did have a smooth brush, but it just completely destroyed your island. So there was obviously some problem there. Yeah, we need to revisit that.
Someone's asking about like trees for like snow, right? So at the moment you can kind of make snow using white sand and things like that. So if you had kind of appropriate trees to go with snow, like fir trees or something like that. Is that something we're planning to add? Yeah,
I mean the island's creators' assets are always going to be constantly updated as the artists make more. At the moment we do only have 2 biomes that we've designed assets specifically for, and they're like the desert and the temperate. And so people have managed to make sort of interesting jungle using the desert palm trees with the temperate textures on the island. And so there are, like you say, ways to sort of make it look like snow a little bit, but yes, the answer to your question, there will be trees that are specifically designed for snow biomes when we get around to doing the art for those particular biomes.
So someone's asking about the kind of shapes that you use to generate islands. They're asking if there's going to be more kinds of shapes in future, like trapezoids or even like a draw your own polygon tool.
Oh, for the generators. I got you. Yeah, no, we would like to add more. Drawing your own might be a stretch. It's probably going to be crazy maths that I probably have to bug Rodrigo about, but yes, we plan to do more. There's also an option that I was thinking of, which is at the moment you place the generators and they're not tackled in any order. What they've done is all the additive ones are worked out, and then all the subtractive ones basically carve out of your island. But then what would be cool is if you could do an additive one over the top of a subtractive one. Sometimes you might want that. So if that is a thing people want, that would be cool to know, because then we could actually make the order that you place the generators in the order that they're calculated in. So if you got something at the bottom, it will calculate last. So if that's additive, but the one above it was subtractive, then this would still be additive, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
So that's something that would be a possibility, as well as more shapes.
Yeah.
In that. So yes.
So somebody wants kind of more options to do with fine tuning, so you could maybe input specific numbers. They've mentioned flattening, so they could basically input the exact number that they'd want things to flatten to.
Yeah, there is an option for that. Now, it already is there. Yes. There's the slider, which is normal. You just use the mouse, and then there's the number. If you click on the number, then you can actually type it in. You can input your own number. We are also planning to do almost like an eyedropper for height. So there'll be an eyedropper tool next to the flatten tool as well, and then when you click on the island, it will go to that point. So the height of the flatten tool will be set to where you click the mouse. So that would be useful. So yeah.
So are there any more kind of big plans that you have for the tool at the moment that you can share with us?
Yeah, there's one particular feature we're hoping to get in. So what we want to do is we want to add another area on the workshop that isn't islands. It is actually player-made structures. So there will be a collection of ruins that someone has made into something that looks really cool. So they might have a certain, so it might even be a house or some kind of decorative feature. They could then choose that selection of objects and upload that as a definition to the workshop, and then other people can subscribe to those and put those in their island. So we're kind of creating a workshop that's not only islands, it's also the individual prefabs that will make up those islands. And that would be cool, because if you're not great at making an island, but you've got an amazing sort of idea of a certain structure or something you want to make, and then you see it in someone else's island that they've made and it looks really cool, you're like, hey, I didn't make that island, but I made that particular house or hut or whatever. I think that's really cool.
That's cool,
Yeah. So yeah.
Well, Tom, thank you for sitting down with us.
Thank you, Matt.
We've had a wonderful discussion.
It's been lovely.
I hope you have a good day.
All right. You too.
So there you have it. If you haven't checked out the Island Creator tool, you can download it for free now on Steam.
And submit your islands to potentially appear in the game.
You can also check out other users' islands for yourself. My favourite is Velvet Island.
Do you make it?
I did make it, that's why it's my favourite.
And that just about wraps up today's episode.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, make sure you hit the subscribe button for more.
And also check out the subreddit and the forum for the latest news on the game and the community.
We're also on social media, so if you have a favourite social media platform, make sure you check us out on there.
And thanks for watching.
Bye!
Goodbye.